Welcome back to Canada's Food and Everything Else Safety Podcast. We have a great guest, Dom. Guess who it is? Dominic, guess who it is?
I'm thinking it's somebody from Winnipeg. I know him.
You might know him.
Are you in Winnipeg
He's also starred in some low-budget movies.
And I heard he's got a fledgling impressionist career.
I prefer the term digital shorts.
Okay. He was like, this could be one of the funniest podcasts we've ever done.
We're always looking for voiceover artists for some of our courses.
Talk about my work in food service. Just not trying to change the subject.
That's freaking awesome.
It's only been almost 19 years.
It's been 19 years. Mm-hmm. And out of those 19 years, you have used Dominic's company a lot with our customers, that are out there, right?
Heck yeah.
How many times? Like a million?
Well, actually, I was going to ask if I could get Dom to give me those numbers just so I could. I don't want to say.
Tom, can we get those numbers?
I don't want to say gloat because people know me. I'm not like that, but I am very proud of it.
I'd wear it as a banner.
Yeah.
Badge.
You know, how do I say this? It sounds like we were a little late to the party, like in Winnipeg, obviously across Canada. I think Dom's had been working with most sites at the time. And so I can't remember if it was my leader at the time or whatever who uncovered this, either heard it on a call or whatever, right? Even though we were technically, I think we were already partnered with them. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh my gosh, like everybody, this is for like, you know, it's not every day that you get a resource or a partnership or anything like that where you're just like, oh my goodness, I can literally talk about everybody to this, mm-hmm. you know? And I mean, outside of the fact that it's a really, really great program, the pricing is also quite,
that's good price.
We like to say good value, yeah.
I was like, well, you're gonna come out with like some weird
Sorry
thing.
about the pause there, Dom. I just
that was too long. We'll cut that out.
I prefer the term value or whatever, right? Just because I don't think it has. I didn't. Again, I wanted to stay away from using like a descriptive word that way, but it is like when most people see it, they're like, wow, like that's the response that you get, right? Whereas normally when you tell people about great things, you know, how much is it going to cost me? Or just like, you know that you're going to get some kind of, but in this, like, and I mean, right out of the gate, we started pushing it hard, telling everybody about it. And we had a little bit of pickup from the beginning, and just like anything else, it needs regular reminders. And I mean, we've been doing great with it from what I understand, at least from the way that the numbers are. But like now, I mean, you get new people that start and all that don't maybe know about it or forget about it. But like now, I get emails regularly from our people, right? Mm-hmm. So I just send them a link, send them the code. Whereas before, it would like people didn't really know about it. Now it's people going, "Oh, hey, I forget the link," or "Could you just send it to me?" Like, they remember, you know, because we talk about it so often.
But Dominic, it's also there's more of a demand now. Like, you're busier than
demand. Yeah, we're busier than we ever have. You know, Jay and I, Kevin. Thank you. First off, thanks for being a supporter. Thanks for
your program.
sharing our program. Yeah, we like to say value. You know, people say it's very cheap, and you know what it is, but the value's good. The product. I
just don't like
that. I hear you. A lot of people still don't believe the price, right?
I know.
We get that still when people call. Well, you're real. Where's your office? Like, well, we're in Calgary, right? It's like, okay, well, we're a real company. We've been around 20 years. On the value side, yeah, Sysco's been a partner for a long time. When we did in-person courses, we gave Sysco clients, you know, they had like I think a $10 promo, and if they did a group training, they did $20, which, you know, when that was happening, that was like $40 or $50 less than public health was doing it for. Our goal with pricing is to help get more food handlers trained versus the one per shift or the two per shift or just the managers or just the supervisors.
Dominic, is that ideal then? Is if we all went to everyone, that'd make things much safer.
Well, yeah, for sure. Like when you want the person handling your food to be doing it right. Unfortunately, most restaurants don't train everybody, and the case used to be. It is odd. It used to be that they couldn't afford it. It was really expensive. You know,
that's
our
the
similar
part that I
training was like
find-
$115, $125, $150. Way back, way back, I'm talking 20 years ago, food handler training that was coming out of the States, Serve Safe at that point, and a similar Canadian one was like $200. I remember going to Sysco
Per
in
person?
Vancouver per person to train a bunch of managers because Sysco, part of the deal was providing the training to XYZ company. And it was $200 a person. It was very expensive. And that's when I knew that was prohibitive. The restaurant industry doesn't have a lot of money to begin with. Go ahead.
If I can add to that, and again, I don't know what you've talked about on shows in the past. To add to that, if you depending on who you get from the not government, what was the word that you used, Dom? Like the
public health.
Yeah, if you get whoever you get from public health, in most cases, and I shouldn't speak for Alberta, but like you get certified for that province. So like as an example, in Manitoba, what was a really big and still is a challenge is we have Kenora, which people joke about. It's like basically part of Manitoba, right? Like it's so close. There's lots of people that have cabins there. There's a lot of people that travel through back and forth, whatever, and that staff, people work here in the winter, summer, vice versa, whatever. What a pain that was. You'd get it here and then they'd hire new staff over there and they had to get it. So like for me, when this came on and yes, the value was incredible, right? But it was all the other things, Dom, that I was really like leaning into for people going like, hey, this is recognized across Canada. So like, I mean, I still think there's a huge gap and opportunity in Canada for all the resort and seasonal type businesses to create like some kind of shared database, because some of them share employees and they don't even know it, right? They spend winter on the ski hill, summer here, blah, blah, blah. And that what you do and having it that way makes it easier for everybody. And, obviously the pandemic compounded it all because there were so many less people, lots of people were laid off, tons of people exited the industry. And even owners now, I think like you talk about being busier now, right? Or not being busier, but like you being the most probably ever, like the most demand, right? I'm sure you're always busy. But like thinking of the fact that even owners' certificates were expiring, like that was a 3-year period. So folks were...
What's it now?
I'm just saying it's 5 years. But I'm saying like that was like literally whatever. I don't know the specific dates, but let's just say a pandemic. Like it stretched like almost 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And so like literally people who had gotten it a year or two before, it wasn't just new people that were needing this, right? Because there are lots of new people entering the industry that need it, but it was owner operators who were like literally calling in a panic. To your point, Dom, about you need to have X number per. It was those folks that it was expiring, whereas in the past that didn't happen, right? Then there's the other aspect of having to do it like a classroom style or whatever, right? And doing it during the day. You have to give up basically an entire day if you do it that way. Now, I'm not, anyone who's watching this or listening, I'm not against it. It's good. I did it one time. But parking, being away all day, costs, all those things. Now you're telling people they can do this online 24/7. Also, like the other thing I talk about a lot is it's 5 languages now, right, Tom?
Yeah, we have it in 6 languages, like the full course in the exam, and the exam itself in another 14 languages.
Okay, So I'm going to follow up with you on that after. No, just because let's not kid ourselves. There are tons of new Canadians.
Oh, huge!
The exam in Ukrainian now, like earlier, the exam is in Ukrainian because a lot of people, new immigrants that are Ukrainian, their job in food service. But we had the exam in Russian for 2-3 years already, maybe more, probably 4, and it was offensive to some people. They even though they could speak Russian, they just didn't want to do it. So. Yeah.
You didn't know that,
available earlier this year.
So just being able to tell people that they could do it 24/7 now, and they didn't have to move. Like they didn't have they didn't like if you're remote, especially our seasonals, resorts,
and you
camps,
guys, especially here in Manitoba, you have a lot of everything north.
It's prohibitive both ways, even for the health unit. it's prohibitive for them to go there, and it's prohibitive for people to bring people here, right? Like, and now it's like, yep, you just need a connection, just need a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, way back, the health units, it used to be an income source for some of the health units, right? So that
it still is in some areas.
Yeah. And you had a unique situation in Winnipeg. Toronto was similar to what Winnipeg did. Winnipeg had their own course, and if you were in Winnipeg, you had to take the City of Winnipeg Public Health Department's food handler course.
Just wait, let him finish.
Yeah. So when we first applied to Manitoba to have our course recognized to the Ministry of Health, or actually, the Ministry of Health, I think, might have been agriculture for some reason. Don't quote me on that. The Ministry of Health, they approved our course, and then they said, but if you want us to recognize that exam, we want your learners to pay a $35 registration fee to be on the provincial database. To which I said, what? And the guy said, well, really, that's the rules. Blah,
that's
blah,
why
blah.
I wanted to get to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, are you kidding? I said, we just won't sell it there.
Jeez.
You want to talk about a roadblock, putting a roadblock in place for people learning? Stupid government fees like that have no use except as a money grab, have no place in any industry, never mind in the food service industry. It's like you guys are getting out of the game. You still want a piece of the pie that you don't deserve. Like, you could have developed an online course with all the resources you had, and I'm not trying to beat up on government, but Jay, you know my feelings on this. I
was going to say we're going to the G word, Dominic.
Yeah.
There's a few things we can't do in the air, and one is Dominic, this is his thing, so he can get to G all he wants.
I think the reality is, Kevin, usually, and you know it, you're in private industry, right?
Yep.
Private industry can do things twice as fast, half the cost, and 10 times better, almost always. It's just you're in a position that you have to innovate. So, we saw a $200 training a long time ago, that said, we can't rely on somebody else to provide this for us because we can't control the costs. Jay, you spoke about a podcast. Somebody was saying, oh, it's going to be $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 to a podcast. And you said, no, you need a computer and a mic and an internet connection. And you can even do it without the internet connection if you're all in the same room. And then you could go and post it up when you got the internet connection. So some of the barriers have definitely moved. And I think the bigger thing is how we look at things probably needs to change. Classroom training, Kevin, you're right. I still agree. Classroom training's often better.
It has value. It has value.
For sure. Yeah. Online training, though, when you look at all the pros that online training brings, and for us, it was cost. When we first started offering our course at $25, literally we had competitors calling us angry at our price, and we just said, no, we want to make money. We need to make money as a company for sure, right? But our bigger goal as part of that is we get to make money if we do a good job, if we deliver value, like you said, and we win that way. It was hard. You say we were always busy. No, we weren't always busy. It was hard. It was really hard. Like we built our company on our credit cards, like many small businesses have.
Well, I also back to I'm with Jay, right? Stay away from the G word, right? But I also think that what I love about your model is if your model's done well, it helps them. It actually helps them because it's hard. It is like again, I know the people who are like, oh, can't the life of a health inspector and all, it is tough. It like the amount of ground they have to cover, the amount of stuff that's going on out there, and to get more awareness about this is helping. It's helping 100%. Everyone.
We're part of the Canadian Institute of Public Health Inspectors. We're affiliate members, they call it.
There you go. Yeah, and so it's still your industry.
We sponsor that. We sponsor part of their program. a lot of them see it as a value, especially rural places. In Alberta, and I'm sure it's the same in Manitoba. Public health would schedule a course in Brooks, Alberta. They need 10 people to run it. 7 people sign up. They end up canceling. And we've had customers that say, we got canceled, 3 years in a row. We haven't had a course.
Oh my God.
Right? Because we're trying to schedule enough people to come. That's hard. You got to give them up for the day.
Another example. During the pandemic, you even to do the class, they couldn't. Well, they couldn't get together, but you still had a valid option.
Yeah.
Right. That they could. Right. Because they were still coming into kitchens. They couldn't meet with a live help. They couldn't meet with a live teacher.
And the reality is their job is important.
Yeah.
Their skills can be put to better use than running a course. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't run courses. They should continue to run courses and offer it. But we can fill that in, and we can actually save the government money in doing it. We've made
also though back to your about their job being important. They should be feeding you observations that they're making in the field to help you enhance your program.
We ask for that all the time.
Yeah. Like they're the hands and the feet, right? They're out there, right?
We'll have public health inspectors on our show in the future to talk. Yeah, we got a gentleman that's an ex-public health inspector that works for us in Winnipeg, Rob Mancini. I don't know if he used to have a show on the Food Network actually called Food Inspectors, I think it was. Like
there was a show called Food Inspectors?
Yeah, 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Maybe 15 years ago.
Look that up for us, though. And if you do need a person, if you didn't have that and you needed somebody else, I got to tell you, I had an incredible experience with the health inspector, and then a new lady that had been hired. She was about a year in. I had an incredible experience with them. So I would, if you wanted me to reach out, I'd be
for sure. We'd love to have them on because for public health, I think their reputation is tarnished a bit just because of history.
And in some cases, fine, but it's also unfair. In some cases, it's also unfair in some cases. Yeah.
Most inspectors are really good. They really want to help. Like Jade and I have talked about this before. They're very reluctant to shut places down.
That's the experience I had. Yep.
Yeah. They're always in a no-win situation, right? They can't win.
Exactly.
So industry, I get beat up for this, but industry needs them to be harder.
Yep.
Because the good restaurants' reputation, their reputation is damaged because they get lumped in with everybody. So if a steakhouse or every military college is going to get extra inspected this week and next because of whatever happened at the Royal Military College. So now colleges and universities everywhere are getting extra inspection. They might be great, right? Everything might be great, but
it's going
go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say it's going to set off alarms.
Yeah.
Well, I also another thing
people are going to be under the gun.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to add in there, and I won't mention the industry, and then just want to be sensitive to the what ended up happening. But
is it golf courses?
No.
Mini golfs?
No. What I'm getting at is like self-regulation.
That's my brother-in-law.
Like earlier we were talking about where I want to stay away from the G word and how in some cases
Would you stop bringing up the G word?
No.
I keep bringing it up.
So I just want to say,
Dominic and me have done like tons of shows and we never bring it up.
Yeah, and so
you brought it up 4 times.
I brought it.
You bring it up.
It was me. It was
not
you, Kevin.
But what I wanted to say was, like, it is so important. But I just want to reiterate what you said. It's so important that they work together. Yeah. I know there might be some people that are going, "Oh, it should just be you guys and whatever." No. It needs to be a partnership, and they need they're and again, whatever, people will disagree with me. There does need to be a government like an accountability and like there needs to be that part of it. Because we've seen in the industry, not in our industry, we've seen over the last few years with some things that have happened in the news, some horrible things of industries that got the permission to go self-regulated and all that. And it was like, people are looking back on it now going, that's potentially why that happened. Right. Yeah. So again, I realize
I don't think there's the reality, Kevin, is most restaurants exceed by far government regulations. We teach this. Government regs are always minimum regulations. I'm sure you're in this industry. Jay's in this industry. You've been to many places. Jay was saying, "Hey, take a look. Should we take a look at this?" And I was like, "Well, Public Health's been down here. They've inspected it. They're continuing. At the Taste of Edmonton, they're doing a spectacular job. Those are minimum regulations. Most restaurants operate at a higher standard." Because
Dom, why is that? I want to talk about that more because I find it very interesting.
Liability, Jay, money.
Is it just 100% liability?
Liability.
Hey, you know what? I think it's probably both, right? Most restaurant, I think when you talk to an owner, we talked to quite a few, Jay, just of all businesses at Taste of Edmonton. Yeah. Everybody wants to do a good job, right?
Yeah.
I think they're.
I agree with you.
The intentions are good. They want to do really good. They want to do better than maybe somebody else. They've got a goal and a standard that they want to attain, and then things get in the way, right? Lots of things can happen, and we know you know from being in this industry. Yeah, there a lot of things happen.
It's not just cost right now, the labor.
Labor, but cost. But a lot of people might be thinking that it's $200 or they are paying a lot.
Also, though, what I was going to touch on earlier is if you've never worked in a restaurant or worked in the hospitality or service industry, your understanding of regulations is so different than if you've worked in. And to your point, Dom, I even push it here inside to the staff, even people here that don't necessarily need it, but might be part of a group that's handling food. And I'm like, you guys, take it. You will be because it'll transform the way that you think about things that you do at home when you bring food to people's houses, all that stuff, right? And I think that that's a win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the same page. We talked to a grocer a long time ago, and they didn't want to train the receiving staff. And he said, well, they're not handling food. They're not making food. I said, they didn't want to trace. They didn't want to train their admin staff. I said, your business is food. You're a grocery store. Yeah, you sell other stuff, but I don't know, 70% of your stuff is food, right? If your head office staff and admin staff don't understand, even the buyers at the very least, right? If they don't understand these very basic things, how can you expect the store level to implement all these rules? Because there's a crap ton of them. There's lots of things that you got to abide by, right? On the food safety side, like you said, you have all of a sudden you have a bigger appreciation for all the things they have to know and do, and we're the least paid industry, right? So you've got lots of pressure. Lots of pressure for safety. You have lots of pressure for quality. You have lots of pressure to try and even make money. And we'll say there's one less fry than we got last time, and we want to beat the restaurant up. It's come on, really?
And everyone's a critic, and you're gonna have everyone.
Got to have a little bit of understanding for the pressure that's happening. I think we're really blessed with the quality of food we have. Really, still for the value, as much as things have gotten more expensive. We're still in a pretty good spot. I think the challenge now is to help. We do it with schools. We have a different program for schools so that kids could get their certification in high schools.
Yeah, like that. Start it young. Love that idea.
Yeah. Well, it sets a tone. I think everything is.
We give them 4 courses to high schools. We give them food safety, respectful workplace, allergen awareness, and WMIS for $17.
$17.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The school.
That's like 3 cups of coffee.
Does that even get you free?
The school's really happy. The parents of the kids are happy. That's kind of the program I'm most proud of because it helps industry because people are coming in trained. You've got somebody that's taking culinary arts in high school. They're going to be able to put that on their resume. They're going to be this much better than not having it, right?
So Dominic, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How many, you may not know exact number, but it's pretty much every kid coming out of high school or in high school, your chances of possibly going working in the food service industry is quite high.
Oh, I'm going to say it's 50% of kids. That's their
I'm going to
first
say,
time.
I was
I
going
hope
to
it
say
keeps climbing.
75.
I hope it keeps
What
climbing.
were you thinking? 76, Cal?
No, I didn't think it was that high, but I hope it climbs again.
62.
There's been a big dip
Google
out of
it.
the pandemic.
Google it.
Because I think a couple things. Parents.
Google. What am I Googling?
You Google that
Parents
number.
had
What
more
number?
money.
How many people go into food service in high school, and then out of high school, like kids? Because Dominic's onto something here. Dominic, how long you been doing
You know
that?
what they're doing back at the school level, in Alberta anyway, in Calgary specifically, but across Alberta, the high schools are going back to putting kitchens and kitchen labs in
Nice.
schools.
Amen.
Hey.
They are, and here's why: because the focus was on computer labs and tech and office and accounting and administration, and they got rid of shops and all sorts of things. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
We have a trades shortage, right? In every trade, not enough electricians. There's not enough, and we spoke to somebody, Jay, on cooking as therapy, right? At the Taste of Edmonton. And kids, when they get exposed to it, they like it, right? It's fun.
Well, it is therapeutic. I'll tell you that. Right? That was the Boys and Girls Club, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So they're putting, but the high schools are doing it. The government's given the money to put these kitchens and labs back in the schools. To teach an essential skill, though, to kids, right? Yeah. It is an essential skill, a life skill, exactly.
But I think what's happening too is that kids can't eat out as much because of cost. Yep. Right? So you need to know how to cook. We need to get back into those basics. I hate to say it's the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Some of those fundamentals are, you know what I took? I'll tell you what I took. Kevin knows this. I took home ed in sewing. Home ec?
Yeah. Home ec. Yeah.
Home ed.
That's what they used to call it. Home ed.
Home ed in Saskatchewan, we call it home ed.
Yeah.
It's kind of messed up. But I did sewing, so I know how to sew. I did cooking, obviously. And I remember my prof at the time, Mr. Collinus, said, Jay, those are probably the most useful classes in any class you'll ever take in high school. Those classes. To know how to cook and also how to sew.
Here's the interesting part, though. I could argue both sides of what you just said about, not being able to eat out as much, they have to, cook at home.
Okay, argue that one.
Well, on the flip side, the importance of what we're talking about, the training and the learning, is... So if somebody's sitting here going, well, no, more and more kids are going out to eat or whatever. Yeah, and working in that. So you want to understand and trust that your food is being prepared safely. Right, and having an understanding for that, right? And if they right, so like both sides of that it matters, right?
Here's one for you guys. We were talking about who needs training. It's still the case. I don't know if it's like this in Manitoba. In Alberta, to cut hair, you have to have a license.
What was that?
Yeah, you do.
You have to what?
Cut hair. To cut hair, you have to be trained.
Yeah,
but to make food, you do not have to be trained.
Interesting.
Now, it can be argued that both can kill you because, you'd need a really terrible slip of the scissors to kill your patient or your customer. But in food, I don't want to say easily, but pretty easily you could screw up and you could make one person or a lot of people very, very sick.
Well, you could do a lot, and even to a point where you should throw a business class in there as well. Right.
Well, it's funny you say that. We were talking about basic sort of financial literacy as a course. To build. We haven't found the right way to do it, but it's something that's important that should be.
It is. It really is. Well, especially in the restaurant industry, Kev, how many people we've met over their careers that just didn't have the business savvy or the understanding of different things. We see it every day. Right. And I feel bad because a lot of them put their money out there. They put their houses on mortgages or double whatever it is and try to make all this extra money to start a business without any business. Business training or classes or courses and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the
It's
person
kinda
the
scary.
person me and you know, Jay, that we talked about previously. That was part of the mandate, is to build a couple of those courses out.
So just
Yeah.
back to that, just in case we get fact checked, just back to that Manitoba, that Manitoba one. So you
Kevin's
have
always
to,
worried about fact check,
I'm
just so
not
you know.
worried about
No, do it. Do it.
I
It's
see
the
it
right
as an
thing to do.
important
There
part
we go.
of all podcasts.
Todd's like, yes, do it. Just do it.
No. I just want to read this out. So the way I'm reading this here is, to cut hair, you have to have a license, but I don't know if that necessarily means that you need to be trained. So I would just.
I think you could look that up, because they. I don't know if they have a. I think they do have a red seal in hairdressing, actually.
You do, yes, and it says here you can get it. Well, not a red seal, but potentially, but it's voluntary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the red seal is, or the training?
Like to getting getting certified or whatever.
Oh,
it's recommended. It said in one of the wordings that I read here, it said it's recommended, but it's voluntary.
Is
so you have to apply
from the
for
Ministry
license.
of Labor?
Yeah,
in
I'm just on
Manitoba.
the Manitoba site. But anyways, but
anyone can
basically
cook. Anyone can be thrown in a kitchen.
Basically, your point is clear. Like, I completely agree with it.
Well, and that's I think that's on, I think on the training in general, it's unfair. It's unfair to the worker. It's unfair to the restaurant. It's unfair to the patron, right? Because the new person's gonna mess up, then the server gets heck, the kitchen gets heck, the patron leaves pissed, they're angry, and so across the system. Now, and not just food safety training. Of course,
I was just going to say, like,
but
knife
it's everything,
safety
right?
training.
Exactly, knife safety. Yeah.
If you've ever put a knife backwards in water or soapy water and someone's cut their hand on it,
yeah,
and I still, I don't.
You still?
Yeah, you're not going to send this link to my wife. She's not going to listen to it. It still happens at home. Right, even though I bring it up multiple times, right? Have
you taken a course, food safety course?
Well, this is my point, right? It's not, they're not doing it to try and get me hurt or anything like that. They don't have a perspective, because in a kitchen, like a restaurant or a food preparation kitchen, dishes and things like that are happening constantly. So, like, whereas at home there could be an influx that, sharp knives might not be in the sink for a couple of days. I get it. Like, I get that there's not that habit, right? But if you worked in a restaurant, you'd never it's like so important that you know those things, right?
Don, will that ever be regulated more? Do you think they'll ever get regulated more? Our industry?
I think my brother-in-law comes from, I think probably yes and no. I'm not always for more regulation.
I'm
just wondering if they will, because
I also think though that regulation is a big
G word.
That's a big no, but I'm just saying. I just want to be clear here to be fair to Dom. Like, right, when you say regulation, there are a lot of things within what we're even just talking about today, even just little parts that could be, but like not severe, right?
Yeah, way back to the beginning where we said kind of what drives it. The liability thing is what I think will drive most change. Unfortunately, that's kind of still the way it is, right?
Yeah.
So
that's usually what happens.
And you know what? It's our job to make it affordable too. We're encountering more and more people who, because of the value, are training all their staff. A lot. So they're training all their staff, even though they're not required to by regulation, because they for them it's the right thing to do. So most people I talk to say it's good for them. It's good for their business, because they kind of feel like I feel. If I went somewhere and the person that I got sick and the person that was making my food didn't have this, my question would be, why? Why did the restaurant not insist on that? And then the restaurant might say, well, we were required to, but you would just still say, but don't you want the person fixing your car to know what they're doing? Don't you want the doctor? It's kind of like all these things, right? And you do. So I think the regs, I think industry will drive more than the regulators. As an industry, if the pandemic taught us anything, it's we have to just do a better job. People felt safe, which is the surprising thing. Not even surprising. Me and Jay, we talked about this at the beginning of the pandemic. The restaurant industry was the one industry that was in essence prepared for the pandemic. Now, why do I say that? Because you're used to regulation, you're used to inspection, you're used to having, all these things. You're operating at, even with minimal staff, the customers set a huge expectation for you in the first place. We have open kitchens for 50 years, probably. I don't know how long, but for a long time, right? So restaurants could operate in that environment and do a really good job, and most did. So I think the industry will continue to drive that. That would be my hope, is that industry would say, hey, we should train everybody. We should make this a condition of employment when you start, or we should get it low enough so that everybody can be trained. Some states in the U.S. have every 2 years, and it's $10 training. We could get to that in Canada, right? We could do it for $10.
Wow.
If we had a lot of people doing it. And that's it. In those states, every food handler has to have training. It's just that's in their regs. And guess what? Foodborne illness went down. It's like it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
Right? It's easy. So the cool thing about what we're doing with Sysco, to segue into what Sysco does, is in your advantage packet to get free slip, trip, and fall. The Sysco customers, the advantage is that
Dom.
Yeah.
I never asked you this. What's the difference between a slip and the trip?
Well, a slip is you like grease, and a trip would be like over an extension cord. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I just want to clarify that, because I've never asked you. I've heard it 1,000 times.
Both those hazards exist in our kitchens, right? I think
we saw the BC video.
Yeah,
that's a slip. You don't want to see
fryer,
that,
right?
You ever saw it? Google it. We're not going to play it.
The big deal in restaurants would be, slip, because you got grease, right? And cuts, slip, trips, and falls, and back injuries are like still, the top.
Number one?
The top. Oh yeah, they're.
What's
I don't know
number
what
one?
that. How
Do you know
that
what number one is?
I don't. I would say it's probably slip and fall versus even back injury, because unless you're in a really high production big kitchen where you're getting cases and cases and cases of stuff all the time, and that's your job, most things are pretty small as far as the lifting goes in a kitchen. Like if you're in a production place, I think that's different, because the packaging and the boxes are a lot bigger. But I'm sure even Sysco's probably moved on a lot of things to a little bit smaller packaging as far as weight, because of the injury.
Yeah. So, Kevin?
Yep.
What do you find most customers that you share the program with, what's their first reaction when they find out the price, how easy it is? Did you find that is one of their first reactions?
I wish I'd known about this sooner. Well, no, and here's a.
Oh, that's the customer saying it, not you. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, or the reps, right? And here's a delicate one that I've always struggled with, right? Is, I wish you'd told me about this, right? And meanwhile, we have, right? We've posted it on social media. We've sent e-blasts. We've sent whatever, right? So it's just like kind of like not taking that personally. I know that sounds silly and maybe, I don't know, insecure or petty, but it's just learning to say, like, just be able to be like, yeah, here you go. Here it is. Yeah. Awesome. Versus like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like I've talked about this so often and so many times. Right. But yeah, the initial reaction is usually just like, oh, I wish I'd known about this sooner, or why didn't I know about this, or like that. Like that's, yeah.
And I think that's important. Dom, you probably see that as well as a lot of restaurants that you've.
Yeah, you know what, we get a lot of calls. A couple of our competitors don't have phone numbers or emails listed on their site. We get a lot of calls thinking they're calling whoever, right? and usually when we get that call, we'll ask, how much did you pay? Because the person might remember, I'm pretty sure I took it from you, and we'll look them up in our system and they're not there. And then, so, well, how much did you pay? And they'll tell us. I'll say, okay, well, it wasn't us. And based on price point, we can usually tell them, well, it's XYZ company, right? So the hard thing is when they're disappointed that they paid too much, or they're disappointed that they can't get through to anybody. It's like,
yeah,
well, I'm trying to find a phone number, and like we have to tell them they don't have a phone number on their site, and then, well, I'm trying to find an email. Sorry, they don't have an email on their site. Like, you got to fill out a form.
So Dominic, can people they can just start? They don't need to contact you. They can just fill out the information on your site and then just start.
Yeah, our even for the Sysco Advantage, we've got a page dedicated to the Sysco Advantage program. If you send them the link, they click on the link. They buy their course. They put the promo code in, and
they don't have to talk to anyone.
They don't have to talk to anybody. So if they want to do it at 2 a.m, within 15 minutes, they get a link to start the course. They can start the course, and if they finish at 7 a.m. and they're ready for the exam, they can take the exam. The exam's on demand. It's available 24/7, same as the course. They can go in and out of it as much as they want. They've got 60 days of access, which is 30 days more than our competitors.
How long does it take?
About 5 or 6 hours.
Okay. And then you're certified for 5 years.
Certified for 5 years across Canada, and in some cases now internationally. Like some unofficially, some places have recognized our course internationally.
Does that the government has to?
We haven't applied to, like in the UK, you'd have to go to the UK Health, like to their health, and same in Australia. But we've had people tell us that our credentials have been accepted in the UK and Australia, in other parts of Europe. In Europe, by the way, in Italy, when you work in food service, you have to have a health. Not only do you have to have training, you have to have a health card, like a card saying you're healthy.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you know that, Kev?
My brother-in-law was telling me that you have to have a physical, more than a physical. But it's, I think they're probably checking for like Hep A and stuff, like some of the viruses that can be transmitted. So I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah. So yeah, people can do it 24/7. So if they can pick any of those 6 languages right off our site. We're working on Chinese right now.
SafeCheck1.com and SafeCheck1.com. We have it on the screen there.
And then if they /Sysco, they'd get to the Sysco Advantage program.
Yeah, Kevin.
If I could also just add in there too, for anybody that's listening, going, well, yeah, that's what the classroom's better on. You cannot really rush through this. I have to state, like I know people say, well, you can't really cheat it. And you have to be in front of the camera to write your test.
You can't cheat it? What do you mean?
Like people who just skip.
You can't skip it, Dom?
No.
Like
you figure that out? How many years was that?
I'm sure our sales would be quadruple if you could.
No, I think it's important to. Jay, watch out. I just think it's important to say that, because I really, it is important to me to state the credibility of the program, right? Yeah. It's not, and I don't know, there's nothing against other programs out there that you might be able to do that with. I'm not trying to call them out, but I want to make sure that this is distanced from that, because you have to do it. And not only that, I enjoyed it. And I'm not just saying that. Yeah, I had to renew mine 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
Well, we got to get you into our new one. It's even better.
It was updated. Not suggesting that some of the other courses I take, maybe some of the content was a little out of date.
Yeah,
it was updated, and when I was done, I didn't feel scared. I felt enlightened.
We don't want you scared.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying that depending on the teacher and the whatever. You can walk out. I remember walking out of one training, but thinking like I'm going home thinking I need to throw everything in the fridge out, and that's not the point. No, but I'm just saying, right? The point is to enlighten and educate, right? But we don't want to scare people. Like, we want people to understand that they can hurt if they're not careful. But
We
Dominic, how
we
many
get,
times do you have to update it? Like how many?
there's no requirement to update it. There's the requirement would be to meet the whatever the regs are, right? So we do it by internal policy. So if from when we published our course 5 years ago, we do probably monthly small little tweaks here and there as we find
new stories come out. You update the story so it's more current.
Yeah,
for people,
but now we've got a whole new the whole look and feel is better. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Our new course is better. The colors are better. The pictures are bigger. The we've got closed captioning now on it. So yeah. Lots of, it takes a ton of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So but we finally published it about when the RC show was in May. So we put it out in May. And we're still, every week we do a small little update. So whoever buys the course today, they get the most recent course. They get the course that's the newest, best version of our course.
I'm assuming others don't.
I don't know.
I just wanted to state
I'm
that
sorry.
I just wanted to distance this from anyone that maybe has experienced something that's not like this. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I was.
Yeah, and on the exam proctoring, we have a company out of Alberta called Integrity Advocate that you have to show your ID to. So you put Bob Smith in you type in Bob Smith as the learner, and then John Smith goes and does the exam and holds up his ID and says John Smith. Well, you can finish it, but you ain't getting your certificate because our proctoring service says the ID doesn't match who the learner is, or the picture doesn't match, right? The learner. It's because you got to show your ID to write the exam. So it's a pretty good system.
Do that.
It's 2023, Jay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
And those guys are all built around privacy.
Yesterday, Jay.
I know we did an AI workshop. Sorry, I guess.
Yeah,
but
and they use AI, and they're an incredible partner. Kevin, Smarter You is a Winnipeg-based company, Neovation.
Cool.
Yeah, our LMS is from Winnipeg.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We try and keep
I'll follow up with you on that. I'll add that to my spiel. Not that the spiel needs it, but that's great to know.
No, they are. Like we're able to offer our price. Like I'll tell you, 15 years ago or 10 years ago with Smarter You, when we went to them and we said, hey, this is what our goal is to get to this price. They laughed at us at first and said, it's never going to happen. And we went backwards and said, how much do we need to buy to get to this price? Because this is the price we need to be at. It needs to be sub $30. And a big corporate client told us that. Yeah. It's like, how much, what do you want to pay? And we went backwards from that. And, as some companies, they just can't do it, right?
Yep.
So we were able to because of that partnership with, and guess what? We got great partners like Sysco. Yeah. We've got.
Well, you're our number one Advantage partner right now, Dominic. I'll tell you that.
We appreciate that. And, that's hats off to you guys too, right? But our goal is just back to the same thing.
Kevin.
I don't think it's just me, but I definitely think we do pretty well in this region.
Well, we appreciate it. I'm glad your customers appreciate it. We're humbled to be, their servants, and that's our goal always is to treat our customers like we'd like to be treated. We like to be treated well as well. So it makes business easy.
Yeah. Well, I saw that Dominic was with me for 2 days at the Taste of Edmonton.
Yeah.
He knows how to talk very well to a lot of people and hold a good conversation. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So anyways, let's wrap up because
my back teeth are floating.
Sorry, Kevin.
I thought that was a polite way to say it.
Well, I don't know, but you don't say that. Okay. Right. Like, okay. I was going to try to figure out how do we talk about water?
Yeah.
Don't
turn a tap on.
No, yeah, turn a tap on, Dominic. That'd be funny.
This was fun. I appreciate you guys including me.
Nice. Again, always a lot of fun with Jay. Kevin, thanks for your support. Thanks for joining. And yeah, if you have a guest that wants to talk anything safety, Jay's happy to
He's lined them up. We have a few lined up from last week.
Awesome.
But
yeah.
But I'm just saying, in future, let me know, because it would be an honor to reach out, because I think it would be a compliment to the
I think you would be
health inspectors there. That
they would love that.
Yeah, I think they appreciate it.
And they don't have to. We don't want them to talk about our program. We just want to talk. We want to talk what they see in the trenches and the challenges they face. Yeah. And
that we're
sorry.
Then we need to help.
We're a team, guys.
How can we help?
Say earlier, we've taught for a long time, when you have a foodborne illness outbreak or a complaint about a foodborne illness at your restaurant, we would say, isolate the food, get all the information, and then call public health. And everybody would say, call public health. What? Yeah, call public health. It's like, why call public health? They're going to get in trouble with public health. It's no. They're there to help you. They're equipped to deal with this. You're going to be surprised at all the questions that they're going to ask of the consumer. And the consumer is going to be surprised too, because, it's easy to blame the restaurant, but as we know, it could be 100,000 other things. So,
and it potentially affects the whole industry.
Yes,
absolutely.
Well,
it's in our best interest for everyone to do well.
It does.
Yes, 100%. And when you go into it with that mindset, to understand that they're there to regulate and they're there to enforce the regulation 100%, they're not there to penalize anybody. They're there to help keep the public safe. And guess what? That's also your business as the restaurant owner, right? You need healthy customers. Yep. So it's a shared goal. And I think the stigma, I forgot to say it earlier. I want to make sure we get it in. The stigma of, the old cranky public health inspector is no more. Most are very helpful. And the nice thing about the youth that are coming into public health now, a lot of them have worked in food service because because education costs more.
Well, we understand.
Yeah.
You need that, right? Like, it would make sense. And I'm assuming they didn't have that before.
No, I think a lot of times in the past they didn't have to maybe work for some people when they were.
Well, thank you for bringing that up before we sign off.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got that in.
He's floating. I tried to drive him crazy over here. Well, thanks again, Dominic, for everything you do, allowing us to do this podcast with you. It means the world, and we love it. And everyone else, go to SafeCheck1.com to learn more. Sign up, and it's that easy. Yeah.
In this case, you could contact your Sysco rep too, right? And ask them about the Advantage program.
Yes, absolutely you can.
I'm the non-Sysco guy plugging Sysco.
Thank you.
Well done
but
there.
The Sysco rep has the information on the Advantage program, and there's savings there for that. But appreciate your time, gents. Have a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Jay, safe travels.
We'll see you later.
Kevin. Bye-bye.
Kevin, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.